Welcome to the Global Conversation. The European Union leaders are gathering to debate the long-term budget that will be managed by the European Commission. That budget includes the Recovery Fund to tackle the recession created by the COVID-19 pandemic. Our guest is Centeno, president of the Eurogroup that gathers informally the finance ministers of the 19 Eurozone countries. Thank you for joining us, Mr. President.
Thank you for having me, Isabel.
So you resigned as Finance Minister of Portugal a few days ago, and you will not seek a second mandate as President of the Eurogroup that will be elected early July. Why didn't you want to keep a role in fighting this crisis created by the pandemic?
Well, it's for no specific political reason. It's just the end of a cycle for me as president of the Eurogroup, as much as finance minister of Portugal. I think we achieved a lot during the last 2 years and a half. We were able to show in April this year proves that the group is well and very much focused on fighting the crisis. And so it was kind of a natural thing for me.
But it is not also due to the fact that Eurozone reform is kind of not advancing much, that the Eurogroup lacks some power to deliver more concrete results?
We achieved a lot on Greece, on the ESM treaty reform. We also approved last October the embryo of a Eurozone budget. That now is the basis for the resilience and recovery facility proposed by the Commission. I think we indeed proved that the group is very important for Europe, and I am very happy and pleased with the results we achieved.
So the Eurogroup approved 3 loans instruments worth of 540 billion euros to deal with the COVID-19 impact, but it didn't generate much enthusiasm. Are there any member states resorting to these instruments?
There is a backstop for firms with the EIB, and it is almost implemented. And I am pretty much sure that the 200 billion worth of guarantees of the EIB will be used fully. There is one for workers, sure, and actually countries already informed the Commission of their intent to use these loans to finance programs to support employment. And then the third one, which is the ESM. It's again a backstop for sovereigns. What we have to evaluate at this stage is that markets are reacting very well to all the decisions that countries and the European Union are taking. There's plenty of liquidity, no difficulties in market access.
But the European Central Bank increased its program to buy public debt by 600 billion euros. So you are very confident that the markets don't expect a turmoil coming from this part of the globe.
The response of the ECB is part of our collective response. It's since the beginning of the crisis, the ECB programs add up to almost 1.5 trillion euros. It's a very strong response, and it's one that is much needed to prevent fragmentation. That's why I've been telling everybody that Europe is back, and Europe is back on the basis of a true European plan.
Regarding the recovery plan presented by the European Commission, you said, and I quote, there should be a focus on the quality of the expenditure. But there is a heated debate about the balance between grants and loans. In the end, what will be doable in terms of convincing member states, the famous frugal ones and the more expansionist ones?
The negotiation is going to be tough, that's for sure, but there is a possible common ground for the bargaining to occur. It's going to be a mixture of loans and grants for sure. That's the proposal of the Commission anyway. But we must be focused on 2 things. First, there is conditionality. This is not to finance past expenditure, current permanent transfers. This is to finance a structural change in Europe related with the green economy and digital. This is very important, and we must stay focused on that. And the second idea is that there is no troika-like conditionality. So we are stronger because we are flexible and united.
We are at the departure point, but how to make sure that the countries will stick to those conditions in their national programs in 1 or 2 years' time, when political conditions might even change, there will be elections?
I keep repeating so people remember that we had the most coordinated ever fiscal stances across Europe in the pre-COVID moment. So commitments were being applied, they were being followed. Risk reduction was a reality for already more than 5 years. The coordination of these recovery plans is a matter for the Commission, but I also am pretty much confident that the Eurogroup will also continue to play a very important role on the economic policy coordination in the euro area.
Do you think that anytime soon, and in a couple of years, they will accept to have common European taxes to repay the common debt?
We now have a possibility, an historical possibility, to temporarily issue common debt by the European Commission, which will be, of course, paid in fully in a long given maturity that is to be defined, maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years. It makes all sense from an economic and political perspective to match these debt issuance with own resources. So we must work together to find these new sources of revenue for the union as a whole. And there's one very interesting idea, which is to connect these resources precisely with the pillars of the recovery process, meaning digitalization and the green economy. So if we connect those two parts of our story, it's much easier to make it understandable by European citizens.
Thank you very much, Mario Centeno, President of the Eurogroup.
Thank you, Isabel.